What's good, everybody? It's your boy Todd Smith here once again alongside my tag team partner Dale Clifford out there in Fernley, Nevada. Welcome to yet another episode of the No Gimmicks podcast, broadcasting on the 3 and Out Radio Network. Dale, what's good, my man?
Not Sami Zayn anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to kind of say, it's like, I think we could throw out the middle, everything in between the two Hell in a Cell matches, and Hell in a Cell kind of delivered. And obviously had a huge moment at the end that I think was much needed, involving Sami Zayn and being best friends with Kevin Owens.
Yes, sir. So welcome to our Good, the Bad, the Ugly recap of Hell in a Cell from 2017, like or dislike edition. So my like for Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, I like the portion of the match which took place on top of the Hell in a Cell. It kind of added some added suspense to the match. You know, just kind of keeping you guessing, hey, is someone actually going to take a bump off the cell? Is someone actually going to go through the roof of the Hell in the Cell, taking a bump similar to what Mick Foley did several years ago? So, Dale, what were your thoughts on this one?
Absolutely. Loved them going to the top of the cell. You could feel the suspense with every spot. And then you had the pop-up power bomb, which I almost thought maybe that was the Shane was gonna take the big bump through and do a spot into the ring, because you figure it's like if they knew, because they were working pretty much in one particular spot, so I kind of felt like maybe it's like, I guess they were kind of teasing that they knew that there was a portion of the ring that could have been protected a little bit to help Shane come down on that one. But so it was like when they went to the top of the cell, it was like a balloon filled with air.
Yeah.
And then they did everything up there, and then they started to crawl back down, and it was like someone stuck a needle in the hot air balloon of the crowd.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, then Owens goes off the side of the cell, and then obviously Shane climbs back to the top and does a Foley. And does his WrestleMania spot with The Undertaker again, but this time it didn't quite look as padded as it was for The Undertaker spot.
No, it did not.
Someone helped Kevin Owens move out of the way.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sami Zayn made his presence known at Hell in a Cell 2017. So we kind of both agreed this was needed for Sami Zayn, because his career really just kind of has, been floundering around since he made the move over to SmackDown. So, Dale, you have any further thoughts on that?
It's been floundering since he got to the main roster. Let's be honest. He's just been the friendly go-getter, rah-rah Sami Zayn. I think he needed a new character direction. This is it. We'll see where it goes. We just needed something different out of Sami Zayn. He wasn't going anywhere with currently what he was doing. He was a guy that was used to build up Braun Strowman and then get beat up by Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where this leads. This could be possibly even the beginning of a stable, possibly with him and Owens there. So moving on to our next match from Hell in a Cell 2017, we had glorious Bobby Roode taking on Dolph Ziggler. So now I would have to say for this one, I disliked it. This match to me just lacked something. The crowd seemed disinterested. The finish didn't quite seem, it seemed a bit out of place to me. I don't know, because that was kind of a heelish finish for Roode, who they're trying to push as a face. Dale, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this match didn't live up to what I was hoping it would have been again, but it was also kind of stuck in a dreaded spot. There was kind of two dreaded spots on this card tonight. The second match of the card, and then the card right before the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of it. As I was hoping for a little bit more, because obviously we know what Dolph can do in the ring, and WWE is trying to build up Bobby Roode here. You put him in with Dolph Ziggler, although I will say it's like over the last year or so, Dolph really hasn't been great at helping build guys up. But it's like I don't know what it is. It's like maybe if it's him just being disinterested and ready to move on, I'm not sure what it is, but I just don't see the work rate with Dolph Ziggler much right now anymore.
No, there's not much left for Dolph Ziggler to do, I think, on the WWE roster. And I guess there was some talk from Shinsuke Nakamura that he might possibly look at moving on, maybe making a run over in Japan, maybe possibly in New Japan or something like that. I personally would love to see that. He definitely can add some, some much needed, I guess you could say, leadership to the Bullet Club, right now, because they've kind of almost became, like a comedy act. not quite as as foreboding as they were when Finn Balor was their leader or whatnot, or when AJ Styles was in charge of the group. So yeah, that's just something I would like to see, because right now, yeah, things just aren't looking good for Dolph there. So moving on to our next match, we had Jinder Mahal, who is the WWE champion, taking on Shinsuke Nakamura, the challenger. For this one, I have to go with dislike as well. I just think, this is Nakamura suffering not only his second pay-per-view loss to Jinder Mahal, but like I said, I guess in this one, he technically doesn't lose, cleanly, because I guess the Singh brothers were out there at ringside for the majority of the match. However, they had them thrown out, from ringside, basically when all the shenanigans went down, and he wound up taking the pin from Jinder cleanly. I don't know. What's your thoughts on this one, Dale?
Yeah, it's so tough. It's like Shinsuke's arrival from New Japan Pro Wrestling was so hyped. He had the huge build into NXT, and then obviously made the jump to the main roster. And it just seems like WWE would rather capitalize on Jinder Mahal pushing the Indian community as opposed to Shinsuke Nakamura pushing the Japanese community. Because it's like, this is straight business to me. It's like Jinder Mahal has no right carrying the WWE Championship. I get that he's changed his careers, and he's redeveloped himself, but the dude has been nothing ever in WWE, and then all of a sudden he became WWE Champion. I just can't get over the fact that he was in freaking 3-man band.
Right.
McIntyre's himself, but Jinder Mahal never did. It's like he's always been a 3-man band. Heath Slater is still 3-man band. So 2 members to me is like I just can't get past them guys being the goofballs with the air guitars.
And it's kind of funny to me. Our buddy James Stubbs from the Savile and Stubby show, he was just like, "Hey man, I know Jinder Mahal has gotten a whole lot bigger, but is it just me, or does his nose seem like it got bigger tonight?" I just said, "Yeah." I said, "I think he might have borrowed Triple H's nose from him, someone else who was known for having a famous beak there, So moving on here to the next match from Hell in a Cell 2017, we had Natalya, the SmackDown Live Women's Champ, taking on Charlotte. So I kind of like this one, although I did not like the finish. So it's kind of a like and dislike for me. It was a strong, match for Charlotte on a pay-per-view after missing some time off due to, the health issues with her father and whatnot. But it's always kind of lame, when you have a DQ finish, especially on a pay-per-view when there's a title on the line. So, Dale, what do you have to say about this one?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to 100% disagree with the finish, because we were going into it. We'd already had 2 title changes. There was the women's title match and then the WWE Championship match. So I felt like if Charlotte came out victorious and there was a title change, it was basically 100% guaranteeing Jinder was going to win. There was no way they were going to change all 4 titles on the pay-per-view. So, but you don't want Charlotte losing clean, because I think you want to stretch Charlotte and Natalya a little bit farther. So really the only way for Natalya to win is dirty, and that's why I think the finish had to be the way it was.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you know what? Might just wind up working out for the better. So moving on here, we had AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin versus Ty Dillinger for United States title. So for this one, I'd have to say, my dislike was the fact this match almost solidifies the fact that Ty Dillinger is nothing more than an enhancement talent on the SmackDown Live roster. Dale, what do you have to say about that?
Absolutely agree. He became the fall guy in this match. Kind of felt like as soon as they announced that it was a triple threat, I was like, we're going to have a title change tonight, because that's why they added Ty, because it allowed, again, like I said, allowed him to be the fall guy. AJ doesn't take the pin. They can extend Baron Corbin and AJ if they want to, or they can just break AJ away now, and he can go in a different direction. He didn't take a pinfall loss here, and he still has a fair amount of momentum.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how things all work out there. So our next match, we have Rusev taking on Randy Orton. For this one, I would have to say, I think that this was probably the best offering that we've seen from these two. However, I did feel, it was kind of a sort of a light dislike once again. Rusev really need to get this win on a pay-per-view. It's like they come back, they have him, do this whole thing, what they did in English, where he's kind of proclaiming it's Rusev Day and whatnot. But then you just kill all of his momentum, with his loss here in the pay-per-view. Dale, your thoughts?
Well, I wasn't sure. Again, it was the attempt, yes, Rusev Day, trying to build the momentum back up from when it was all shot during the flag match with John Cena. Again, two opportunities here to make Rusev bigger than he is. You've given him John Cena and Randy Orton in the shift to SmackDown, and he's lost both of them. I'm like, this guy could be right there. He's on the cusp of being the number 2 heel because he would be right behind Jinder, or is like even higher in because you got Kevin Owens is pretty high too. So you're talking like 2, 3 on the rung of heels. If Rusev's knocked off John Cena, knocked off Randy Orton, instead he's taking losses to both of them, and you're like, well, here we are again. What is next for Rusev, and is there any hope that he is going to be anything that they were kind of hoping he was going to be?
Yeah, I think the worst thing that could have happened to Rusev is when they split him away from Lana. Nothing has really gone positive for either one of them post that split either. So moving on here to the first match of Hell in a Cell 2017, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the New Day, taking on the Usos. So for this one, I have to say by far this was the bright spot of the show. From top to bottom, there was nothing about this match I disliked. Creative violence at its finest was on display here in this match. I mean, the gong spot. Who in the hell has ever heard of someone using a gong in a pro wrestling match? The kendo stick lockdown, where they kind of use the kendo sticks to kind of lock up, one of the members of New Day. Xavier Woods getting flogged repeatedly with a kendo stick while hanging from a handcuff position from the turnbuckle post. Dale, what more can you say about this one?
Speaking of that spot, that was kind of one of the areas where I thought was the only kind of negative thing to it. I don't understand why the Usos removed Xavier from the position on the post. I'm like, why not just leave him hanging there? And now you're on a 2-on-1 with Big E for when it's like until he manages to find a way to free Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Because remember, they're the heels. So I just felt like, because I was thinking, and then obviously you see Xavier Woods make the save with the handcuffs. Usos obviously ended up in the end winning the match. But I just thought that was a little odd that why the heels would remove the guy from the hanging position and allow them to kind of still remain in a tag team match. But yeah, as soon as this match ended, I was like, yeah, we're one match in, but nothing was going to beat that. Nothing did, which is kind of, you want the first match to lift everybody up, but I think that thing lifted everybody up, that it was basically a slow drop all the way until the second Hell in a Cell match, which then I think Shane and KO did a nice job of trying to bring everybody up, but it was very hard for anybody on that card to follow the way the show opened.
Yeah, man, damn straight on that one. I had posted on Facebook, I said I thought that the Sandman was going to consider suing the WWE for gimmick infringement because the shots from the kendo stick were used so often throughout that match. So now for good, the bad, and the ugly for our overall. So for my good, I think, this is the obvious one. Sami Zayn's heel turn, it's kind of exciting to see what they're going to do with him. If they're going to possibly just have him and Owens there as a team, or if they're going to possibly expand upon, maybe look at doing some sort of like a Canadian heel stable. Dale, what's your good for this pay-per-view?
Yeah, that obviously I think is the biggest thing coming from this is the much-needed heel turn for Sami Zayn. But I also just kind of wanted to go back to the tag team Hell in a Cell match. Very first time tag teams had ever been in a Hell in a Cell match, and they didn't disappoint. It absolutely delivered. They were very creative in all of the spots that you mentioned. Is like obviously like the one spot where Jay got pinned up in the corner with the kendo stick, so they locked him up there. It was like hanging up Xavier Woods off the turnbuckle post. Just you saw very creative and unique offense in this, and it kind of revitalized the Hell in a Cell match a little bit. Is like I think Hell in a Cells have kind of taken a step back from the Attitude Era. This one lifted it back up again, and I definitely think I don't know if we're done with Usos and the New Day, but these two have come a long, long way in their chemistry together, and right now it's like they're absolutely delivering every time that they have a pay-per-view match. It's near the top, if not the best match of the night.
Yes. Tough to disagree with that. So now for my bad for this pay-per-view, I would have to say it was way too damn long. I mean, for the WWE Universe fans who are in attendance, hey, you got your money's worth with a show that ran at least about 3.5 hours long. But for us out here in the East Coast, out here in Connecticut, I just kept on saying to myself, I was like, this damn pay-per-view is going to go until about midnight, which in my opinion is far too long for especially like one of the brand split pay-per-views. We're not even talking about one of the 4 major pay-per-views. So that would be my bad. Dale, what was yours?
Yeah, those things, like we were like 5 minutes into Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, and it was 10 minutes to 11 o'clock,
right?
Time, 8 o'clock on my time, and you're like, there's no. I'm like, unless they're just going to have a short Hell in a Cell match, which I'm like, why all of a sudden the build to it, and they didn't. This thing went well almost to half past the hour. So I could definitely see that again. It was like my biggest bad though is that you had the WWE Championship and then 2 more matches. It's like WWE Championship on SmackDown is an afterthought right now. Yeah, with Jinder Mahal as the champion. There is like Raw finishes every single pay-per-view with the Universal Championship match. SmackDown puts the WWE title in the middle of the card.
Yeah, and I guess you got to put the WWE Universal title at the end of the show, especially when it's only defended maybe 2 or 3 times a year, since your champion is a part-timer, right? So the ugly here for me would have to be the backbreaker, which Xavier Woods delivered to one of the Usos. After all this time, I'm still having a difficult time telling them apart. I'm not sure if it was Jimmy or Jay, but that just looked painful. The one that took place outside the ring there between the ring and the Hell in a Cell. Dale, what's yours?
Nope, that was a pretty good spot. Another decent one was the chokeslam backbreaker that Baron Corbin did on AJ Styles. Obviously, the biggest thing here has to be Shane McMahon's leap off the top of Hell in a Cell through a table. It's like nothing is bigger. No one's biggest moment of Hell in a Cell was Shane McMahon's leap, and then obviously Sami Zayn pulling. So I guess Sami Zayn going ugly and letting Shane take the crash by himself and moving Kevin Owens out of the way.
Okay, so now we've reached your favorite point of the show, Dale. On the no gimmick scale from 1 to 5, what do you give Hell in a Cell 2017?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I think you can remove everything in between the 2 Hell in a Cell matches, and this card still somewhat delivered. It's like there really wasn't a terrible moment. There were some bad moments, but nothing overall terrible. So I'm at like a 3.5, probably one of the better shows, is like because the Hell in a Cell matches absolutely delivered on their moments. So I got to go 3.5.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to that. I'd say probably like a 3.25. I really expected more from Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. That disappointed me. Like I said, I hate DQ finishes on pay-per-views. The title match for the WWE title did not deliver at all, in my opinion. But the 2 Hell in a Cells were both outstanding. And the fact, like you said, that this was the first time that we actually got a tag team match inside the Hell in a Cell, and it actually was, it was pretty damn good. It was solid, and it really delivered. So now, hey, one thing is for sure, Dale and I can sit up here and talk about WWE 2017 Hell in a Cell all night long, but unfortunately, we have come to the end of this episode of the No Gimmicks Podcast. So thank you for joining us for our good, the bad, and the ugly, like or dislike edition of WWE Hell in a Cell 2017. We are no gimmicks, no image, all wrestling all the time. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share our videos.